think everything is fine. Hello? Yeah, fine. Okay. Yeah. Let's get started. I thought nobody would be here because they have to give prelims now, the 2026 batch. So this is May already. Okay. Now, more than half of your course is also completed now. So it's fine. Now, which is the first thing, which is about ethanol blending. Now, as I told you in class also, that this has been the statement made by Honorable Road and Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari ji. Okay, now, so we'll understand. First is what is ethanol blending, why it is important. Okay, very basic thing. Then we'll read about E100 fuel. Okay, that is 100% blending. Now, why is it opening like this? Yeah. Now, first thing is what is ethanol blending? So you understand this already, that essentially mixing ethanol with petrol reduces crude oil imports and emissions. That's why it's a good thing. Then acts as a transition fuel supporting energy security. Okay, this is what we are doing right now, that is ethanol blending, not E100. E100 will be what? Completely using ethanol. So that is why this is called a transition fuel. Then supports farmer by providing an alternative source of income. Okay, because they are growing sugarcane and all that. Then E10, E20, E100, what are these? So E10 contains 10% of ethanol, E20 will contain 20%, and E100 uses pure ethanol and requires flex fuel vehicles. Okay, now, so this E20 will need some kind of compatible engines, E100 will need some other kind of flex fuel engines. Now, the core thing is, what are flex fuel vehicles? So the vehicles that run on any ethanol petrol mixture. So this engine that you make, that will not be running only on ethanol, it won't be running only on petrol, it is flexi fuel engines. That is, it can work with anything like E20, E10, E50, E100, whatever, it will work. Then uses corrosion resistant components and advanced sensors, widely used in Brazil. So Brazil is actually a pioneer in this. They mostly use this E28, which is 20%, 27 or 28, 28, okay, which is largely what they use. But they have also developed certain flexi engines which can work completely on ethanol. So Brazil is one of the pioneers in this. Then key achievements. See, so this also we talked about, that E20 target has been achieved in 2025, 5 years ahead of the schedule. Then ethanol production capacity has increased to nearly 20 billion liters. Then forex saving exceeded 1.4 lakh crore rupees. Then carbon emissions reduced by about 832 lakh tons. Now, of course, because this is coming from the PIB document, so it is only talking about the positives, but please see the negatives also. So right now, see if this works out somehow, this diesel engine or this new kind of flexi engines, if this works out somehow, then it's good. If you can really run your vehicles more and more on ethanol, then it's good. Okay, but right now, this has created certain problems also, which is that we preponed it by 5 years. Now, why is India pushing towards E100? Of course, reduce dependence on imported crude oil, provide buffer against oil price shocks, then help solve stubble burning through secondary generation of ethanol. Okay, but we also talked about today that we are mostly generating from molasses, which is not good. But if you remember, we learnt about first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation of all this of ethanol. What was 1G? What was 1G? 1G was by food crops, correct? So this was by food crops directly. Second, 2G was from the agricultural waste. Third was then algae, and fourth was genetically modified organisms, correct? So this 2G is what the government is saying. If we start using this 2G, that is agricultural waste. Stubble is also agricultural waste. What is stubble, you understand? So if there is a crop like this, now let's say this is wheat. Now most of the modern threshers or tractors or whatever, when they cut this, so they will cut it from here. Okay, now when they cut it from here, what will remain? This part of the stack will remain. This is called stubble. So after harvesting has been done, the whole fields look something like this. This is stubble. Now in North India, because they don't have enough time, they have to grow next crop. So what they do, they just burn this. This is called stubble burning, which is the major cause of pollution in Delhi, correct? So this is also an issue. Now if this stubble can be used to make this bioethanol, then this also can be dealt with using the same principle if we start using more and more of 2G. Then promote circular economy by converting waste into fuel, correct? Circular economy, you understand? So basically one thing leads to another, and finally if waste can be converted to fuel, then fuel can be used in many other ways. So it becomes a complete circle. That's it. Challenges in scaling beyond E20. Now first is lower energy efficiency leading to reduced mileage. Then compatibility issues with conventional engines, correct? This we talked about, that this is okay for post 2023 vehicles, but not for vehicles before that. Then concerns related to food versus fuel debate, correct? Because most of it now, right now, is from sugarcane and all that. Then high water consumption, especially for sugarcane. So sugarcane is a water guzzling crop, that it requires a lot of water. Okay, then infrastructure and cost related constraints, correct? You have to develop new kind of infrastructure, and also right now the cost is not that cheap. So right now we are importing a lot of it, we are using our sugar canes directly for this. So cost of our ethanol is not very less. That's why even after mixing it, it has not happened that your price of petrol has dropped, nothing like that. Okay, then next we come to CAR T cell therapy. Okay, whatever you keep understanding, keep writing it in 1-2 lines. Okay, if there are more things, you write it more, 1-2 line, 3 lines, keep writing it. Because what will happen, if you are able to make notes regularly, weekly, then nothing else will cover your current affairs better than this. Okay, even in all these classes that we take, eventually all these magazines that you see, in any magazines, I can, from my top of my head, I can tell 5 topics which we have covered, which is probable also, but it is not covered in magazine. Because magazine will be ultimately made by who? By the content team. Do you think person who is working for the content team is all the time reading newspapers every day? Why he will be doing all that effort for you? Correct? So you have to do that effort. We have this assigned that we do this weekly sessions. Every teacher covers only his subject. We are given this afternoon free. So this second half, I didn't have a class. So I did this, that I covered the entire week. I keep on reading the newspaper also. So that way, if you keep doing it logically, then you will be in touch. Everything will be revised also, and it will flow nicely. Okay. Then This is CAR T cell therapy. This we will study in biotech also, but not very difficult. You can understand it. See, you know white blood cells, correct? Now there are two kinds of white blood cells that are important to us: B cells and T cells. Now B cells does what? B cell produce antibodies, correct? So any pathogen, anything enters your body, B cell will produce antibodies against it. T cell, okay, it has many functions. Now for now only one function is important to us, that we'll see. That is a special kind of T cells called cytotoxic T cells. Now what they do, understand. There are also helper T cells which will help B cells to produce antibodies. Okay, now these cytotoxic T cells, what function they serve is, see, your body will generate antibodies to fight against a virus, bacteria, all that. But what can happen is, before your body can react to it, it will have affected some cells in your body. Now what to do with those cells which are already infected by a virus or bacteria? Correct, those cells cannot be saved. But if we don't kill those cells, the virus and bacteria is safe inside the cell, then it can spread later. So the body must kill the infected cells. That is done by cytotoxic T cells, that is kill infected cells. Now, so ideally your body should be able to find what is cancer? What is cancer? Basically abnormal growth of cells, correct? Abnormal growth of cells is cancer. Now, so there are some cells that are growing abnormally, correct? Now how do you deal with those cells? So what you can do is, if your T cell is able to identify those infected cells or those abnormal cells, then it can go and kill that cell. But why cancer is not dealt like this? Because your T cell is not able to identify those cancer cells, correct? So they don't have the ability to really identify the cancer cells because they look almost like your own cells only. Cancer cells are like your own cells only. They have some parameters through which you can identify, but normal T cells cannot. Now that is why your body cannot fight cancer alone. Now see this CAR T cell therapy, what we do here. So we first take out your blood. From your blood we get T cells out. Now after this, what we'll do, patient's T cell are taken to the lab. Now the T cells are re-engineered with chimeric antigen receptor. This is what? This is nothing but, just understand that it is making your T cells more powerful, so that your T cell is now able to identify the cancerous cell. So they are, for example, can you see, they make a hook-like pattern here. Now this pattern will be made according to what cancer you are facing in your body. So they will design it in that way. Now you have this super T cells, okay. Now once this has been made, they will multiply this. So they will, in the lab, the CAR T cells are grown in millions, correct? So what they will do, they will make millions of copies of this CAR T cell. Now these T cell will be injected back to your body. Now if they are injected back to your body, what good thing it can do? So basically now it has the ability to identify the cancerous cell, so it will go and kill those cancer cells. Now this is the traditional CAR T cell therapy. The news is about something more advanced. So this is CAR T cell. Now this works very well for example, here you took out blood, so this works very well for blood cancers, some lymph or fluid based cancers, those, for that it works well. Why? Because those are easily available, and when you put this back, it is able to find it in the fluid and get hold of the cancerous cell and kill it. But there are also solid tumors, correct, like in other forms of cancer where it cannot just flow and reach there, correct. There are many different cancers, might have heard of lung cancer, this cancer, that cancer, correct. So now they have developed a new thing through which even the solid tumors can be dealt with. This is still at experimental stage, so we won't go in much detail, just basic understanding. This CAR T cell you understood, this is fine now. So what is CAR T cell therapy? This is done immunotherapy using modified T cells, target cancer cell using engineered receptors. Then how does CAR T cell work? T cells are extracted from the patient, all this is back. They are infused back into the patient to destroy cancer cell. This also we saw. Then now, why does conventional CAR T fail in solid tumors? Now, see this. So, see, for CAR T cell to act, first the T cell was not able to identify it at all. After you added this CAR and all, now it can somehow identify those parts. But it still requires strong antigen signals for activation. Okay, only if there are strong antigen signals. What is antigen? Just word breakdown. Antigen, something that generates antibodies. Anything through which it can identify a cancer cell is called antigen. Understood? Now, so now it requires strong antigen signals for activation, but the tumor cells often show low antigen expression, the solid tumors. Then this leads to immune evasion and relapse. So what will happen? It will not be able to identify these tumor cells, correct. Now that is why CAR T cell therapy, when in the last batch when we were talking about this, what we talked about, that this is very good for blood cancers and related cancers where it is going through the fluid. This is talking about how we can use the same thing for solid tumors also. Now, what is pseudo heterogeneity? Now, this is nothing but the same thing, that tumor cells are not truly antigen negative. So basically, see, heterogeneity means here that they don't have any antigen for the CAR T cells to identify. So then they have found in research, it is not like that they don't have antigen. It is just that the antigen is very weak or the signal are very weak. Okay. So now tumor cells are not truly antigen negative. They express very low levels of antigen. Then thus they escape detection by conventional CAR T cell therapy. So they have signals, CAR T cell can identify it, but the problem is the signal is very weak. So now what can be done? Now this is HIT receptor breakthrough. It allows detection of very low antigen levels also, improves tumor targeting ability, leads to complete tumor elimination in models. So right now they are testing it in models only. This HIT receptor is also added to it. Apart from the CAR T cell, HIT receptor will also be added. Now it was seen that now it was able to identify even the smaller signals. The whole problem is of identification. Otherwise, we are not doing anything. We are understanding. T cell will destroy the infected cell. It has that ability. Problem is it cannot identify. Then we developed CAR T cell which helped it identify at least in blood and fluids. Now still the solid tumors were safe. So then they added another HIT receptor which will help it what? To identify the solid tumors also. Simple. This much only is more than enough. Now, so sometimes it leads to immune reactions also. Why? Because from outside you are entering CAR T cells, correct? So what it can lead to, see, anything that you put from outside in your body, the body's immune system checks it. Then only it passes it if it is slightly even different, it will try to attack it. So here also, even though the change is very slight, it can lead to immune reactions sometimes. Then neurotoxicity can cause confusion of seizures. Then treatment is very expensive, manufacturing takes significant time. These are the issues with CAR T cell therapy in general. Understood? Then now this is AERB. Okay. So tomorrow when we will be doing nuclear energy, we will talk about this. That is the Shanti Act. If you know, Shanti Act has come, which opens the nuclear sector for the private entities. Earlier, it was entirely held by the government. Correct. Now, after Shanti Act, we'll read the details of Shanti Act. So Shanti Act, this is what Shanti Act does. Now, in this Shanti Act only, this was an old body, AERB, but now AERB has been made much more powerful. This is Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Okay. Now, why is AERB news? So see this. AERB has granted permission for erection of major equipment including reactor pressure valves, all this in Kundankulam nuclear power plant. You know where is Kundankulam? Tamil Nadu. So this is in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Now, the major nuclear reactors that we have in India, that you should know. Okay. So here this news is not that important. So basically unit 5 and unit 6. So basically 2 more units have been allowed to be opened by AERB in Kundankulam nuclear power plant. They already have 4 units. You see this major nuclear plants. Yeah, see this. This is Kundankulam nuclear power plant. These are some others. Okay, Kaiga, Tarapur, Kakrapur, Rajasthan, Narora, all this. Okay, we'll see about them. So these are different nuclear power plants. Their location is also important. Now, yeah, next is what is AERB and its core mandate. So what is it? See, originally this institution was established in November 15, 1983. Now, by the President of India. So originally this was just a executive body, okay, made by the executive directly. So initially functioned through executive order under Atomic Energy Act 1962. Now, mission to ensure nuclear energy and radiation use does not pose risk to public health and environment. Very basic. Then, oversee safety standards, licensing, radiological protection, all this. These are its main functions. Basically, regulating the entire nuclear energy sector for us, mainly related to that nuclear energy and radiation use are the two things it works on to protect the citizens. Then, what changes were introduced under the Shanti Act? Now, repealed Atomic Energy Act 1962 and Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010. These two old acts were repealed, and what was brought? Shanti Act. The full form is just something made by the government, like sustainable, this, that. Basically, they wanted to make Shanti. So they made some full form. Now, granted AERB independent statutory status. If you know, when an act is passed, the bodies that are by the act, those are usually called statutory bodies. Unless otherwise mentioned, those are statutory bodies. So here also, because now act has been passed, so this is a statutory body now. Accountability shifted towards parliament. Now, if there is any statutory body, what will happen? Instead of being accountable to the executive, it becomes responsible towards the parliament directly. Then elevated to level of regulations like TRI RBI, like TRI RBI, all these also have proper acts. Okay, so same level is now this AERB also. Then yeah, so in the new regulatory framework, there is dual permit system. So you need permit from the union government also and from the AERB also. So AERB is mainly giving safety authorization. So if you want to develop anything in nuclear energy, nuclear power plant, small modular reactor, whatever, you need dual permits. Now, expanded role to regulate private and foreign players, including SMRs. Correct? Earlier, the government completely held it. So AERB need not be that powerful body. But now, because you are asking the private sector to come, the foreign investors to come, foreign companies to come, then you need to maintain a level playing field also. Correct? So to maintain level playing field, its role becomes more important now. Earlier everything was government now, so it didn't matter. Then safety norms are technology neutral and entity neutral. Okay, so safety norms, whatever other safety norms, earlier they used to be different for pressurized heavy water reactor, for some other kind of reactor. Based on entity also it was different. Now it has been made exactly the same for all. Then institutional mechanisms. So Atomic Energy Redressal Advisory Council acts as an appellate body for AERB decisions. So one council has also been made. If there is some, this is what? This is advisory council. So basically this will act as an appellate body. What is an appellate body? Appellate body. We talked about this when we were doing IPR. Then also there was one appellate body. Appellate body is which hears to appeals. That means once a decision has been made, we are making appeal against it. So once AERB makes a decision, now if you want to appeal against it, then you have this Atomic Energy Redressal Advisory Council. Then mandatory incident reporting within 15 days for all nuclear power plants, and linked with graded liability framework ranging from 100 to 3000 crore. So basically, graded liability framework, as it, what is the, let's say in your nuclear plant there is some issue caused. Now what is the issue, what was your responsibility level, okay, all that are considered for you, for them to decide how much fine or responsibility you will have to take. This is called graded liability framework. Then we come to hemophilia. Now what is hemophilia? No, hemophilia, yes. So basically this was also a disease in a royal family, I think in UK, which got destroyed because of this. Okay, hemophilia. Hemophilia is what? See, all this is fine. Hemophilia is a disease in which the blood clotting is not done. Okay, blood clotting is not proper. Then what will happen? You will tend to bleed more and more. Correct. Now, World Health Organization advanced a resolution to improve care equity for hemophilia. Okay. Now, then India has second largest burden of 1.4 lakh estimated cases. Second largest burden we have. Then large undiagnosed population in India. Now it is also very important model for gene therapy research. Okay, when we do our course we will understand what is gene therapy. Okay, and it is one of the most important specimen of issue. You will understand why I am saying this, because this is a genetic disorder. Okay, and it can be dealt with easily. There are some genetic disorders which are like very difficult for even the scientists to understand. This they understand properly. So if they are developing some gene therapy, they try to treat hemophilia using it. Now, yes, what is hemophilia? A rare inherited bleeding disorder where blood fails to clot properly. This is hemophilia. Then occurs due to deficiency of clotting factors. What clots your blood? Platelets, correct. So platelets and many other components are there, correct. Those clot your blood. Now if they are missing, your blood won't be clot properly. You might have seen people who are very healthy, their blood also clots much earlier. And for people who are like in old age, or you will see that their blood clotting or their how their body repairs any kind of wound becomes much slower, correct. So all there are many different factors which decide how well will your blood clotting be. Now in this case it is almost very poor in these people. Then hemophilia A is caused by deficiency of factor 8. Hemophilia B is caused by deficiency of factor 9, also called Christmas disease. Now these factors you need not remember. Okay, what you need to know is there are two kinds of hemophilia, that's it. Okay, this name also Christmas disease, this that, nothing. Hemophilia, what is hemophilia, correct. And there are two types like this, A and B, this much only. Okay, the diseases part when we do in our classes, there we have to do only limited diseases. Now this has come, so some of them will be covered, otherwise this will remain in current affairs only. Okay, otherwise if I start covering every disease, it will, your course will never be completed. Then genetic basis of hemophilia, this you understand. So this is X-linked recessive disorder. Now see, So basically, let's call it, what happens here, you are made up of XX or XY. Okay, so the boys here are made up of XY and girls here are made up of XX. Now what happens in this particular disease, your X becomes defective. Let's say defective like this. Now in the case of a girl child, what will happen, because she has two X's, okay, now even if this becomes slightly deformed or anything, this is enough to take care of her. So they are usually just carriers. It is most commonly found in males, because in male what you have, if this goes defective, now X and Y have different components or different use cases. Now you don't have anything to compensate for that, because boys only have X. So that is why it is mostly affecting males. It is X linked recessive disorder. Why recessive? See, any disorder is called recessive when you must get it from both parent, then only you can get this disease. That is called recessive disorder. Most of the disorders that we have, genetic ones, are recessive in nature. Otherwise, if they are not recessive, what will happen? If it comes from any one parent also, then also you can get the disease. Now here what you want, so essentially let's see these two people. Now this boy will be fighting hemophilia, correct? This girl will not be fighting hemophilia. Most probably she is not doing anything. Her body is, this X is taking over. But if they meet, the child that they create, now from here what can happen, that they can create healthy kids also. For example, this Y and this X can create a healthy boy, but it can also create XX, and where both X's are defective, then it can create a child like this, or it can get from any parent also. For example, this is defective, now this girl is fine, but this girl can still transfer it to the boy, correct? So this way it is recessive even if it is from both the parent, then the child can get this. Understood? Then females usually act as carriers. So this female may not have it, but she can give it to her child. Then that is why we read that there are many undetected cases, correct? So in India, around the world, there are undetected cases. It will be known later on in their lives. So in India, the problem is that we are not doing any kind of genetic understanding of two people before marrying them. That's why you have spread of all these recessive disorders. Otherwise, this can be controlled. If I just know that this girl is a carrier, then I can get a boy who is completely normal. Then it will not be transferred to the next child, correct? But it is not done. Instead, we match some kundli or whatever we want to match, okay? And there we are more concerned about manglik or something, correct? Instead of this. Then there is also one more way this can be made to make a wrong statement. So there are some cases, almost close to 1/3, where there is spontaneous mutation. So originally the mother father, they may not have it, but the child, when he was getting it from mother and father, for some reason, let's say one of the X got defective and he was a male child, so now he starts having it. Understood? So that is also possible. Please remember this, okay? Otherwise what you will feel that it is always from the mother and father, because it is a recessive disorder. But there are cases where it arises spontaneously also. Then major symptoms. So symptoms are prolonged bleeding after injury or surgery, easy bruising, then joint bleeding causing pain and swelling, then severe cases may involve internal bleeding in brain or organs, repeated bleeding leads to joint damage, disability. You're understanding? Need not know all the symptoms exactly, but you know, do understand it is sort of like prolonged uncontrolled bleeding internally, externally, all these are symptoms. Fine. Then how is hemophilia diagnosed? Again, very basic, you need to know. Diagnosis through blood test like CBC clotting time and factor assays. Very simple, you take their blood. Now, even if, like you might have seen this, that if your blood is thrown out also, then also it can clot. Correct. So it has clotting abilities. Now that only you test, from that you can guess. Severity classified as mild, moderate, severe. Treatment through clotting factor replacement. Now, this is one of the treatments. So you are replacing the clotting factors. Then, because you read those two factors, factor 8 and factor 9 was defective in hemophilia A and hemophilia B. So if you can replace those factors, then you can repair the disease. Then prophylaxis using regular infusions to prevent bleeding. Okay, advanced therapies include, yeah, this is fine. Advanced therapies includes gene therapy and non-factor therapies. So in gene therapy, what you will try to do, you will try to make the amendments in the X part so that it is repaired for him entirely. He will or she will not even transfer it to the next generation. Okay. Then we come to cyborg botany. Now, this is a cyborg. This is made from two words, that is cyber plus organism. Cyborg is what? Cyborg is half human, half machine. Colloquial term used here also, cyborg. You might have seen this in some TV series, Sci-Fi and all. Okay, so this is cyborg. Now, cyborg botany is basically making the normal plants in such a way, or introducing changes in the plant such that they become like half organism they already are. Some cyber components to them you have to add. Now, see, very short topic, nothing much here. So, first thing is, yeah. So, first thing is, what is cyborg? Why is cyborg botany in use? Now, scientists are developing cyborg botany to bridge biological signals and electronic data. Enables plants to communicate their internal health in real time. Now, understand what is happening. So, basically, first let's understand, then you can write. How does it work? Yes. Now, see. Plant integrated with electronic component act as living circuit boards. Nanowires and transistors embedded in plant cells as biosensors. Conductive polymer PEDOT act as internal wires. So what you do here is this. In the plant, now if you remember when we talked about nanourea, so stomata is big enough to take in nanoparticles. Now all the components in the plant are big enough so that you can enter nanowires, nanopolymers in them. So what you are doing, see, plant generates signals, like you generate signal, correct? For example, like if I have something pointed here, now if I put my hand over it, my body immediately gives signals to my brain that my hand can get cut. So even before a deep cut or any harm is caused to me, a signal is sent to my brain. Similarly, plant also does. So if let's say the plant is facing deficiency of water, or less water is available, less of some nutrient is available. So first this signal is sent to the plant. Then plant tries to manage it somehow. Eventually, if it is not able to manage, then what happens? Plant starts yellowing up, the fruit stops growing properly, the flowers stops growing properly. This is later phase. But initial phase is stress, and we are not able to identify if our plant is under stress. This can be done using cyber technology. So you will enter nanowires, transistors, conductive polymers in it so that it is able to identify these issues. Now, the electrical signals which it is sending to different parts of the cell, that only is captured by your biosensors. They will amplify this, and from this you will get to know that plant is actually facing water scarcity or water deficiency even before you can know about this in the more manifested form. This is cyborg botany. Of course, this is mostly experimental. Okay, then so this what it does. See, cyber botany, what it does, converts plants' biochemical signals such as light, moisture, pest into digital data. And how it is connected? Using nanowires, transistors, and conductive polymers. Okay, most probably if it is asked, not much detail would be asked. It will be like the term based question. Correct? You might have seen like some we have done, like pumped hydro we did today. Okay, what is pumped hydro? What was that? Pump pumped storage hydro power. Correct? That we did. So that is term based question. Now here also cyborg botany, if they suddenly give you, you should know what it is. Correct? Now, if you have not read this seems like outwardly nanowire dal diya, it is able to read the signals, but this they have developed. Okay. Significance. So this enables, of course, precision agriculture with efficient use of water, nutrients, all this. Early detection of stress before visible damage. Plant tests biosensors for pollution, ecological monitoring. Potential for self-powdered biohybrids. This is not much needed. You just understand this early detection of stress. This is the main use case. This is enough. Early detection of stress in plants. I think this is it. Yes. Okay. So these were the 5 topics. That's it. Thank you.